Passengers on board an Air Asia flight that was forced to return to Australia were told by the captain to say a prayer after an apparent engine problem made the plane shudder like a washing machine. The Kuala Lumpur-bound flight turned back to Perth 1.5 hours into the journey. Due to a technical issue, the Airbus 330 landed about 3 hours after its departure yesterday. Passengers have been recounting the terrifying ordeal, which reportedly began with a bang from the left engine, Graham Acton reports.
That's the disturbing sound on board yesterday's Air Asia flight from Perth to Kuala Lumpur. The aircraft was forced to turn back 90 minutes into the flight after a major fault with an engine left the plane shuddering and passengers wondering just what would happen next. Safely on the ground back in Perth, they recounted nearly 2 hours of sheer terror. Sophie Nicholas says it all began with a bang in the left engine.
It was just like a small explosion almost from the left wing, and the plane just started shuddering a lot, and you could just tell by the cabin crew's reaction that it was really bad.
About 10 minutes after the shuddering began, the captain spoke to the passengers.
Please listen to the briefing. Our survival depends on your cooperating. Hopefully everything will turn out for the best.
The captain goes on to invite passengers to join him in saying a prayer to get the plane safely back on the ground. Another passenger, 23-year-old Emily, was flying with her mum and says the captain's comments sent a chill through the cabin.
I think everyone kind of panicked a little bit just because it sounded like we weren't going to actually get home safely. I think he meant it in a way that, everyone should pray and hopefully, if there's a God out there, that we can all.
Emily says the plane was shaking so badly inside that passengers wondered if they would make it back to Perth.
It was a really traumatic experience. We were just finishing our meals and not even halfway through our trip, and everyone kind of looked at each other and we started freaking out because we didn't know what was going to happen, and the plane started to just shake furiously.
On the ground, marine rescue services on the coast north of Perth were told to prepare for a crash on water. This passenger, Tim, says the mood on board as the plane approached Perth was extremely tense.
Lots of people crying, lots of people pulling out the life jackets and stuff, pretty much preparing. We thought there was a good chance that we were going to go down.
As they taxied after a safe landing, the pilot told passengers he believed a turbine blade had broken off inside the engine. AirAsia released a statement with no details, saying the plane returned to Perth Airport after takeoff for a technical issue. It's just the latest in a string of mishaps for the budget carrier. In 2015, an AirAsia plane crashed during a flight from Surabaya in Indonesia to Singapore. The final report into the crash found the aircraft had a fault with its rudder, which went unfixed for 12 months before the crash, during which time it had flown dozens of times between Perth and Bali. And last year, a series of pilot errors saw the Malaysian-owned airline take off from Sydney Airport directly into the path of other planes above the airport. For Checkpoint, Graham Acton.